Sometimes I wonder why the festival of Purim became a festival we associate with children. Why it is that so many children come and celebrate the festival and love the story of Esther and dress up as the heroes and the villains of that story. After all, if you read the story of Esther, it's hardly U-rated, not really even PG-rated. There's a lot of difficult stuff. There's lots of partying, lots of drinking, lots of violence, lots of sexual violence. It's a really difficult book in many ways. And I think many people find the ending to be perhaps the most troubling part of the book. Throughout the whole story, the Jewish people have been threatened by Haman, by Haman, that he's going to come and wipe out the Jewish people. And at the end, it all turns around. The Megillah uses the word v'nahafochu. It all reverses. Everything turns over. And instead of Haman wiping out the Jewish people have the opportunity to wipe out Haman and his followers. And the last section of the book of Esther describes hundreds of people being massacred by the triumphant Jewish people. And it's very difficult. It's so hard to read of our people committing massacres and then being happy about it and celebrating it as just such a lovely festival. How do we deal with that? How do we deal with the story of Esther? And partly, I think it may help to think that in ancient history, people used to boast of genocide but never actually do it. And unfortunately, we live in a world today where people do genocide and try to hide it. But at least in the past, these stories are not historically accurate. The massacres being described in the book of Esther almost certainly never really happened. Perhaps that may help us. But we're still left with this text, which we present as a holy special text. We teach it to our children with all this violence. How can we sit with that? I think this nahafochu is a very important symbol of Purim, about everything being reversed, about everything flipping over. The people who seem to be in charge become subservient. The people who are subservient seem to triumph. It's part of the reason why we all get dressed up in costumes as a kind of role reversal. Everything's topsy-turvy. It's partly why there's a custom to drink alcohol on Purim as a way of reversing the order of things. But the nahafochu to me suggests that while this is a reversal that happens now, that there may be other reversals that happen in the future. I find the ending of the Megillah to be quite ominous. Yes, we've triumphed now, but we're still in the same power structure. We're still in the same system that led to the threat in the first place. Yes, Mordechai is now in a place to protect the Jewish people, but who knows how long that will last? Who knows how long it will be till the next nahafochu? There are hints of this in the Megillah. We keep switching from the Esther singing style to the style that we use for Eicha, the Book of Lamentations, as if to suggest that, yes, this story is a comedy, but it could easily have been a tragedy. For me, I find a solution to the problem with the Megillah in another festival, the festival of Pesach, which comes just a few weeks later. Pesach, like Purim, is another spring festival, and I think if we can connect the two, we can see a progression. Pesach is all about breaking free of the cycle entirely, of starting something completely new. If Purim is quite an immature festival, a festival of getting your own back on your enemies, if Purim is like that, Pesach is a festival of real triumph, of freedom for all, of liberation, of finding oneself in a new place where there are new possibilities, where the old stuff will not necessarily come back on you. And so we progress from Purim to Pesach. We try to recognize that desire to have revenge, which is what Purim's about, and then move beyond it as we hit Pesach and the next part of the spring festivals. I wish you a happy Purim, a wonderful time of celebration, and I hope to see you in synagogue.